Today we'll be showing you how we raise our broiler chickens from day 1 up to 6 weeks and beyond. We'll be showing you how to raise them on a budget, a simple and beginner-friendly method. In this video, we'll be highlighting all the stages we go through. We shall also be talking about the costs of buying the day-old chickens and the cost of the feed, each and every type of feed we used, from starter, growers to finisher mesh. And we'll also be highlighting how to set up the brooder, the maintenance, and we'll also get into the losses that we came across during the way. And definitely we'll be showing you our simple do-it-yourself housing of the chicks from the brooder to the cage. And then at the end we'll talk about the total costs that we incurred so that we can see how much profit we got. These chickens are just for us as a family, so we'll be comparing to see how much we could have used if we had bought them and how much we used now that we raise them by ourselves, so that we can see if it's worth it. We are doing it so that you see if it's worth doing it or not for yourself. So we are starting with the day that we receive the day-old chicks. The first thing we do is to hydrate them and to give them some glucose water just so that they can have some energy. And the glucose water is simply made by putting 1 tablespoon of sugar and maybe roughly a cup of half a cup of water. We mix it, then we give the broiler chicks, just making sure that each and every chick manages to have a sip. So for this process and project, we bought 15 broiler chicks. These 15 broiler chicks were going at $20 each, and the total cost for buying the broiler chicks was $18. So this is our do-it-yourself brooder. We just get a box, then we put in there's just some paper on top, but on the bottom there's some grass. That is what we mainly use. And that in that red container, I think we bought it for, it must be $2. And the feed that is inside is the starter. In this video, I wasn't incurring the costs of the containers, the feeding containers, because we bought them before already. So we are just going to calculate the costs of buying the chickens, the cost of buying the feed as well. So as you can see, we are now making sure that each and every chick, before it gets inside the brooder, gets a sip of the glucose water. So we repeat this process for all the other chicks until they are all finished. They all manage to get some glucose water. So as a golden standard, our chickens get 2 weeks of starter mesh, 2 weeks of growers mesh, and 2 weeks of finisher to complete the 6-week cycle. Some prefer to raise them beyond 6 weeks. It's up to you what you prefer. We actually usually like to have our chickens at around 7 weeks, which differs with each and every one. But if you're working on a business, you really have to lock in on the 6 weeks, because starting from 7 weeks, that's when you start getting some losses. And another thing of note is that you really have to practice high standards of hygiene, because these broiler chicks are very susceptible to diseases and stuff. So you just have to make sure that your hands are clean, the containers are clean. You regularly clean the containers on a daily basis, emptying the water, putting a fresh batch of water every day when you are taking of these chickens, making sure everything is clean, because if you are really unhygienic, definitely you will lose a lot of these broiler chicks. That is what we do not want. We really want to maintain the number, because we can. That is the only way we can actually maximize the profits. And when we raised this batch, the weather was very hot, so we did not need to add any heating or any warmth. But we will be doing another video where we will be raising a batch during winter, and we will talk more about the heating methods and the heating systems we can use. So the next important part is to make sure that we give water to these chicks. We should make sure that we use clean water and clean containers. If you see those rocks on the side, sometimes we put them right around, where the water, right around that red thing at the bottom, so that if the chicks step in the water, they do not get really wet, they just step on top of the rocks. But for now, since they just got here, we just want them to hydrate a bit, then we'll later put on the rocks inside. So that is very important, to make sure that all the chicks are not under that feeding container, that water container. Then as soon as you just put in the water, you can see the chicks start drinking the water, so they really need water when they come. These chicks, we started by giving them feed and then water, because when my husband received them, they had already started on the feed and the water. But normally we just give water for the first few hours, and then we give some feed later. So that is starter mesh. That is what we started with. Starter mesh, we bought 5 kgs for these chickens, and the 5 kgs cost about $4 something. I think it's $4. That is what we started with, the starter mesh. So far we now have starter mesh at $4, and then chickens at $18. Now I think this was around 2 weeks. We were just changing the chickens from the, if you remember, our little box. So we'd just be interchanging them from the box to the green container. Then tomorrow we change from the green container to the box. So that is how we were maintaining our brooder at the time. At 3 weeks, we introduced grower feed, and for grower feed, we used 10 kgs. 10 kgs costs around $8. And as you can see, we were actually keeping these inside the house. We made sort of a brooder, a makeshift. You can see the tiles. This is the inside of the house. And I also have to mention that we lost 3 chicks during the first week. So our losses so far have been 3 chicks. That is $3.60. Those are part of our losses. We are not sure what really happened, but we actually lost those chicks in the first week. So now these are now at 3.5 weeks. They were continuing with growers, and we managed to use that 10 kg. So when they reached 4 weeks, the plan was now to transfer them outside. We actually kept them in the house for a very long time, longer than we usually do, because we usually transfer them outside around 3 weeks. So we were just busy with some other things, and we knew that we needed to fix the cage. As you can see, this is just simple. This is wood that we use to make our cage. So these are the chickens now at 4 weeks. As you can see, they are really thriving, and we had started also introducing finisher to the feed. So the plan now was to transfer them into the cage. So we made these cages. I think they are now 2 years old. They're just made of wood and some fence and some wires. So it's very simple and very cost effective. We didn't build anything very expensive, but the amount of chickens we have raised in these cages is actually a lot. So now my husband was preparing so that the chicks would come. He was putting the feed. He was also putting the water as well. So for the finisher, we bought 15 kgs worth at $12. So if you are following, $18 for the chickens, $4 for the starter mesh, the 5 kgs, $8 for the 10 kg growers, and now we are at $12 for the finisher, the 15 kgs. So that is what we've used so far. That is the amount we've used so far. So now he's putting some water for the chicks so that they will come in. So we are going to transfer the chickens today so that they can start living outside. We're actually a bit late, but you can do it sooner so that they can have some fresh air a bit earlier. But anyway, they were really thriving, so it wasn't so bad. So it is important also to make sure that when you are putting them outside, like we were doing, it was actually very small containers because we had very few chickens. When we have a lot of chickens, we usually use big containers, but in this experiment, we're just using small containers. So now we are taking the chickens out of the brooder, the one we had put inside the house. It was just a corner. As you can see, it is very simple. You can just do it with cardboard and a few bricks and some grass. So you can say I cannot take care of my chickens or raise my own chickens because I don't have anywhere to put them. Just a little corner in the house can also work. You see how we did it. Even if we wanted to reach 6 weeks, they were still going to be okay. So yeah, this part was the transfer of the chickens from the house into the outside cage. So we still managed to keep those 12 chickens after we lost 3 in the first week. But throughout the process, we had our 12 chickens. We didn't lose any more, and they were thriving. They were doing well. We were actually impressed by the progress. So now he's going to take some more chickens. This is the second trip, so that he can also put them again in that same cage. Okay, so what we normally do at around 5 weeks to 6 weeks, we introduce sorghum, munga. We call it munga here. We introduced sorghum in the last few weeks just to add to the feed, because I don't know what's the science behind it, but we noted that if we introduce this sorghum, the chickens actually taste a bit better. So at 5 weeks going forward, this was at the end of 4 weeks, so they were still having just pure finisher mesh. We were not adding anything. But at 5 weeks, we started adding that sorghum, mixing it with the feed up to 6 weeks and beyond, as we were just waiting to maybe slaughter them and eat them during the process. So that is also a way again of saving some costs, because it is less expensive. So we bought a 20 kgs or a 20-liter bucket I can say a 20-liter bucket of sorghum. You see, that is the sorghum munga. We could mix it with the feed, then we would give the chickens. So this is now our chickens now at 6 weeks. They are now mature, and we were now able to start eating them. So now the question is, how much did it cost us to raise these 12 chickens? How much did it cost us to buy them? How much did the feed cost in total? As well as how much did we save by doing these chickens by ourselves? So that is the next part we are going to do. For this batch, 15 chickens at $20 cost us $18. 5 kg starter cost us $4. 10 kg growers $8. The finisher 15 kgs $12. Munga or sorghum was $4. So the total cost of the feed was $28. The total cost of the chicken was $18. So the total for raising the chickens up to the end was $46. We actually had some leftovers on the feed, but we are just going to calculate it like this. So each chicken, $46 divided by 12, each chicken cost us $3.83. And it was actually a bit of a loss because we lost those 15 chickens those 3 chickens out of the 15 at the start, and we ended up with 12. But our total was $3.83 per chick. And normally these chickens cost $7. So we realized that we managed to save the total of 12 chickens. If we were to buy them at $7 each, would be $84. And we now used $46. So the total savings is $38. So for us, we felt like this was worth the effort and the time, because we managed to save $38. Imagine if we had 120 chickens, we would have saved $380, which is a lot of money. So it is up to you if you want to raise them, or maybe you want to buy. But just so you know the process and how it goes, it's actually a lot of work, but I feel like it's worth it. And at the end of the day, you produce the chickens that you love, that you are sure of how they were raised, because you would have done it yourself. So this is what we have for today, and we actually have another video that we are working on Roadrunner chickens. We once did Roadrunner chickens before, but now we are raising a new batch for our video. So stay tuned, subscribe, comment, like and share.